How is your cruise so far? Excellent, okay. I'm glad to hear this. If you have any complaints from this one down, two down. So, my name is Ksenia. I come from Slovenia, which is the only country in the world that has the word love in it. Slovenia. Okay, anyone been there? Yes, you liked it? Okay, there you go. So I'm a guest jeweler on board, so I'm here only for this cruise. I brought some Baltic amber with me. So, like Steven said, it's an absolute treat. So you have to pop in the shop and see what we have. Now, first of all, sorry for my accent. I know I have a very strong accent. If I say something funny or wrong, just, let me know. I can find another word or just laugh. I don't mind. Now, how many of you have done Spot the Flake competition? Not that many. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that, because this competition is actually very nice. Whoever did it, you have to go down with me to the shop after the lecture, because the winner gets to choose amber jewelry worth $300 US. Yes, yes. And you do have to be present. So, never mind. Next lecture that I will have in the second part of the cruise, we will have a raffle again. Okay, so you do have again the opportunity. So let's start this amazing journey. Today's lecture will take us on a journey through time and history, from 60 million years ago, when the Baltic region was covered in forests, to the present day in just 35-ish minutes. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. You can ask me, no worries. Now, before we embark on this journey, let's establish what amber is and what amber isn't. It is not fossilized tree sap, it is a petrified tree resin. Now, the difference is following. Sap is mineral and nutrient-rich water, which flows from the roots to the leaves of a plant, whereas resin flows between the wood and the bark of a certain tree species, and it's an oily antiseptic material protecting the tree from infection. Now, amber is also considered a gem, but not a gemstone, because gemstones, they are crystalline, while the amber is organic, means it was made by a living entity like pearls, like corals or jet. Now, let's start our journey. So 60 million years ago, a huge forest covered northern Europe from southern Scandinavia to the Ukraine, and from central Britain to the Ural Mountains, and was dominated by distant relatives of the modern spruce, fir and pine trees. Now, these trees were producing the vast quantities of resin as a natural defense against breakage and infections. Why trees in this particular forest produced such huge quantities of resin, it's unknown, but climatologists have suggested that prior to this ice age, global temperatures soared, and this may have increased the amount of forest-dwelling animals and more violent storms, of course, both of which can damage trees and cause production of more healing resin. As I already mentioned, tree resin is a natural antiseptic, and the main active ingredients being succinic acid and hydrogen sulfide, which provide the yellow color. Many species of tree, including spruce and pine, produce resin today. However, this is mostly broken down and cased during the molecular polymerization process. The resin from these Baltic trees is unique because it was formed before the ice age and polymerized over millions of years in very low temperatures. So it's impervious to extreme temperatures and pressure required to convert it into a gem. This is very important. Amber has to have certain age to be suitable for jewelry. How many of you already have a piece of amber? Okay, all the others can buy it. Now, the closest modern living relative to the ancient amber trees of Baltic region is the giant kauri tree found in New Zealand. It's also a prodigious resin producer. The arrow there is pointing at the human at the base of the tree, so you can see how huge these trees were. And yes, indeed, when you see how big the amber can be found in how big the chunks are, then you get to think how big were the trees back then in time. And this is one example. Anyone from New Zealand here? No, I know there are a few guests on board, but I guess they are not here on the lecture. So how does amber form? If a tree is damaged by storm or other falling trees or by animals, insects or nesting birds, the resin seeps out of any breakage in the bark, and upon contact with air starts to set and harden, forming a soft scab over a wound. And this allows the bark to heal underneath, protecting the wood from further damage. Eventually, the hardening resin falls onto the ground, and these semi-solid pieces continue to harden as they become compressed by the weight of soil above. During the petrification process, they oxidize from contact with air and also absorb chemicals from the soil, and both of which will affect the color. The resin remains hidden in the soil, slowly turning into amber through a process of natural polymerization over millions of years. Now, the ancient resin producing forests died out 20 million years ago at the end of the Tertiary period, when the earth cooled and Europe was covered with ice, which was in some places more than a mile thick. And this huge ice shelf covered the whole of northern Europe, from the UK and Iceland to Siberia in the far east of Russia. What happened next is, as the planet warmed at the end of the last ice age, we are now 12,000 years ago, the ice shelf retreated, and finally these huge glaciers melted into the newly created bowl that is now Baltic Sea. As the ice retreated north, the glaciers scoured the land, taking with them much of the topsoil containing the ever-hardening resin and depositing this moraine just off the southern coastline of the Baltic Sea. The topsoil from the Baltic forest eventually became the seabed of the Baltic Sea. And this is where we get the amber from. This is why it comes also from the sea. Rough weather, of course, disturbs the seabed, and because amber is naturally buoyant, once released from the seabed, the amber floats to the surface and it's washed ashore. And for over 12,000 years, the primary system for obtaining amber was collecting it from the beach. Even today, people look for amber in the early morning after winter storms along the Baltic coastlines of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, and November is considered the best month to hunt for beach amber on southern shores. During particularly bad weather, pieces of amber have been carried out of the Baltic and found along the coast of Scotland as far down as the Norfolk coast in England. Anyone from there? Yes? No? Okay. With modern science, of course, and technology now, we don't just rely on the amber that comes ashore. We find it by mining clay deposits close to the shore in Poland and in other Baltic states, and it is also found as a byproduct when coal mining in Germany, Poland, and Ukraine. Now, however, when I speak of mining, don't confuse this with the industrial mining practices seen around the world for other gemstones. This is a very much cottage industry with a handful of miners staking claim to a small area and excavating by hand close to the waterfront. Here you can see the miners in the Ukraine digging by hand on the banks of Baltic Sea. Now, amber does have a couple of major advantages over other gems. First, it's relatively easy to polish, and generally, if pieces are larger than 7 to 10 millimeters in their rough state, then they are just polished as they are and left in what is known as a free-form state. That means that we have a very little waste of a rough material. With a diamond, for example, when they have to cut it in, let's say, rod brilliant cut, they use 50%, sometimes even more, of the gem, which of course raises the price up. With amber, this is usually up to 5%. The second benefit is that each freeform piece of amber jewelry is of course unique. Now, also many other gemstones nowadays have to be heat treated to be able to come to jewelry shops, because you know, natural emeralds, natural rubies, and all these color gemstones are very expensive if you find a gemstone that is genuinely strong in color. So to reduce the price and to bring them to jewelry shops to make it more accessible to all of us, they heat treat them, okay? So in case of amber, it's 100% natural. There are absolutely no treatments. This is before and after image of amber. So almost nothing of original weight is lost, and polishing process yields in over 90% of most cases. The good thing is also if you have amber at home, and for example, if it's already a bit dull because you were wearing it a lot, you can just, you know, either you take it to a jeweler, he's just going to polish it a little bit, either you can actually have a rough leather rag and you just polish it by yourself. So very easy to maintain. So the amber polishing, very straightforward process. A water-cooled polishing mop with a little abrasive rouge will remove the outer layer of weather and earth damaged crust to reveal the beauty of the gem. It's worth mentioning some non-Baltic occurrences of amber. Now, whilst the Baltic region accounts for almost 90% of all world's amber, there are two more locations where amber is found. Mexican amber is younger than Baltic amber by 10 to 30 million years. Unlike Baltic amber, is mainly found in fossil-bearing rocks, and the main source is Chiapas on the Guatemalan-Mexican border, and all Mexican amber is often referred to as Chipis amber. It is petrified resin of the long-extinct Hymenea tree. It varies in color from a greenish blue to a translucent yellowy green and deep cognac color. The indigenous Mexicans used amber as incense and as an antiseptic balm, as well as for personal adornment. Now, regarding healing benefits of amber, I will talk more about it in the second lecture, because amber is an antiseptic, so there are some benefits for whoever is wearing amber. So make sure you check out when is the next lecture. Dominican amber is very similar to Mexican amber. Anybody has a Mexican or Dominican amber? You do? Nice. The blue one? Nice. Very nice. That is very rare one, yes. It was formed between 25 and 30 million years ago. It is mainly found in fossil-bearing rocks, so it has to be cut from the host rock. Unlike Baltic amber, which is generally found as species in the soft earth and peat. It is almost always transparent, so flora and fauna are much more evident. However, most species containing prehistoric life forms are generally very expensive, and they are snapped up by collectors and museums. One color of amber uniquely found in Dominica is blue amber, the one that I guess you have. It's extremely rare variety that was colored during its formation by traces of the hydrocarbon anthracene. And the anthracene was formed during forest fires caused by extreme hot weather which preceded the Ice Age, which wiped out the Hymenea protera genus of trees, which produced the original resin. That was a long sentence. And another variant of amber worth mentioning is copal. Often referred to as young amber or immature amber, comes from the copal or Hymenea verrucosa tree found in Mexico, Central America, Japan, New Zealand, and East Africa. Copal is designated as resin in an intermediate stage of polymerization. So it is generally still gummy because it hasn't hardened like amber, which is millions of years old. Copal tends to be anywhere between 15 years old, which is still semi-liquid form, to around 2 million years old. It cannot be classified as amber as it was not formed in the last ice age and has therefore not totally polymerized. Copal is far softer than amber and is generally used as incense or as wood varnish. However, unscrupulous traders in the Baltic and Central America regularly try to pass us copal as natural amber. You can distinguish it from natural amber by its very pale color, yellow color, or by testing the surface with acetone or chloroform, which will make copal tacky to the touch. Now, amber offal contains perfectly well-preserved pieces of flora and fauna from the ancient forests 20 to 16 million years old, which is very, very fascinating. And to date, more than 500 extinct insect species and over 2,000 varieties of fauna have been found in Baltic amber. Here you can see a spider attacking a wasp which had flown into a web, and it's dated at 100 million years old. Predation among arthropods, it's an incredible act that is rarely trapped and preserved in amber. Even 15 strands of silk have been found inside the amber. However, intact fauna is very rare, particularly in Baltic amber. They say 1 in 16 pieces contain traces of ancient flora, and 1 in 5,000 contains fauna. Any trace of ancient life carries a huge premium, and this is reflected in price with museum and curio hunters that are prepared to pay hundreds and even 1,000 times more per per gram with any fauna found inside. Now, totally opposite from all the other crystalline gems, inclusions in amber are seen as a positive rather than negative. We hear gemologists and jewelers speaking of flaws and inclusions in gems, and this usually reduces the value of the gemstone. But not with amber. Each mark, fissure, ground inside, air inside, it's a moment in time frozen for eternity. And French use a very nice word for these inclusions. They call it garden or le jardin. So something to appreciate for sure. Now, one of the strangest things ever to be entombed in resin is the act of reproduction between two flowering plants that actually date back to the earliest days of flowers in general, some 99 million years ago. The two plants are doing something very similar to modern flowers, with the male anther being inserted into the stigma. This is the only known example of plant reproduction captured in amber. And in the University of Göttingen discovered some of the oldest ever arthropods to be cotton tree resin, dated some 230 million years ago. This is a golmite, which is in itself surprising, because golmites today predominantly feed on flowering plants. Yet these ancient mites date back to the Triassic period before flowers had even evolved. And we often remember the plague bacterium as the killer that wiped out much of Europe during the Middle Ages. Yet the origins of the plague bacterium date back to before humankind even evolved. Researchers at the Oregon State University found this plaque-bearing flea in amber that was found around 20 million years. Not found, it was trapped there around 20 million years ago. Now, this is a very exciting recent find, only discovered in 2016. This large piece of amber contains the feathers of a 99 million year old juvenile non-avialan theropod. This is a 2-legged long-nosed carnivora. The tail is visible to the naked eye and measures 36.73 millimeters. And here you can take a closer look at the feather structure under microscopic magnification. And detailed analysis indicated that if the entire tailbone contained a plumage similar to the sample found, then the dinosaur would be incapable of flight. The amazing detail was preserved because of the preservation qualities of amber. And this is how this guy looked like. These finds are extremely important in the field of paleontology for understanding of evolution, biology, and ecology. Now, do not expect to find large, perfectly formed insects, animals, or flowers inside pieces of amber. Large, easily seen intact pieces of flora and fauna, neatly centered in the ring or necklace for reasonable prices, are always fakes, like scorpion or butterfly in this picture. Normally an insect is arranged and glued onto the slice of amber. Then a synthetic resin or plastic is poured over it in an oval mold. Most fake amber today is colored plexiglass or perspex. If the price is too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Usually what you see is, let's say, half of mosquito, you know, and you have to check with the loop. These things are very small, so these, of course, are traps for tourists. Another popular fake is amberoid. Amberoid is a product made of thousands of small, almost valueless pieces of amber, heated to the point where they soften up and they are pressed together to form one large piece. It is also called pressed amber. Now, the thing is that this amber, although it's from the pieces of genuine amber, when it's heated, it loses many properties. It doesn't have any more healing properties because it loses succinic acid, and also the electrostatical charge is gone. So this is why it's good for you to know what you're buying and what you're paying for. One of the most commonly asked questions is how to spot real from fake amber. There are 4 simple methods that you can use without the lab equipment, and the first one would be the electrostatic charge test. You can rub the piece of amber against fur, wool or silk, and it will attract tissue, paper or hair. However, this can be done also with other materials, so it's not 100% reliable test, let's say. The salt water test, you can add 7 or 8 teaspoons of regular table salt to a glass of water. You mix the solution until the salt is fully dissolved, and then you drop the amber in. Genuine natural amber will float, while the plastic, backlight, glass, epoxy and other imitations will sink. I can do on the next C-Day, I think it will be announced, I will do also the presentation of this, so you're very welcome to come and to see how this looks like. The problem is that this doesn't work on copal or pressed amber, so they will also float. So again, it's not 100% reliable. Of course, if the amber is mounted into a silver or gold, it will sink because the metal is going to pull it down. So again, you have to have a loose amber for that thing. The hot pin test. If you have already amber at home and you're not sure, you can heat a pin and then prick the amber, and it will result in a white smoke with an incense-like smell, like pine trees, because of course it comes from spruce, fir or pine. And anything that is counterfeit will have a chemical odor, and glass of course will not react. Again, you cannot do this around jewelry shops. I will not allow you to prick my amber. So, again, it's not 100%. I mean, you can do it if you have it already at home, or if you buy something in outside and then at home you can turn it around and try if it's real. But at that point, it's already too late. You paid already for it. The touch test. Amber is generally slightly warm to the touch because it's a weak thermal conductivity. So materials like glass and bakelite have a high conductivity and they do not retain ambient heat, so they are colder to the touch. But one trick adopted by fake amber shops is to have a high wattage lights in the counters or to have shop window facing the sun. And this makes them feel warmer when first handled, when you first touch it. Also, amber has an extremely low density, while imitations usually have higher density, so they weight more. But again, you have to have a feeling for it. You have to either work with amber or either be in contact with amber to spot the difference in weight. So again, it's not 100%. Now in this picture you can see a large piece of amber weighing less than 3/4 of a kilo, and this is because of its low density. Now the thing is that as in 2012 the International Amber Association surveyed the amber shops in Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania and found that over 50% of amber being offered as a 60 million years old Baltic amber was fake. It was either copal, either amberoid or just plain plastic. As the Romans used to say, caveat emptor, so buyer beware. If you get some amber ashore during this cruise, fantastic price for a bigger piece. Don't come to me and ask me if it's real, because I will not know. Always ask for certification. I'm not saying buy it here on board. However, come in the shop, see the selection. Here you have certification, you have backup from a cruise line, backup from the concessionaries that are shops, and we have a huge selection. Come, compare the prices, go on land, check, because many ports now have amber. Just don't be, I want to say, don't be fooled as as a naive tourist, okay, by someone to sell you. If it's for a couple of tens of dollars, it's not a problem. But if you want to buy something nice for a couple of hundreds, I mean, you have to know what you're getting and what you're paying for. That's the only thing that I would like to point out. Our amber is from Poland, Latvia, and Lithuania. It's of course tax and duty free. You get the certification with it. And we have a lightweight 925 sterling silver, which is lacquer coated. So it's hypoallergenic and it doesn't tarnish that easily. So now, speaking about fakes, here I have a nice fun fact for you. To celebrate the launch of the all-new G-Class, Mercedes-Benz encased a G-Wagon in the world's biggest installation of synthetic resin. With a deliberate nod to Jurassic Park and the reference to the natural phenomenon of insects fossilizing amber, the German automaker created the stunt to highlight the unchanging DNA of the G-Class over the years. Very good idea. And now back to genuine amber. Now, amber comes in various shades of cognac, honey, lemon, butterscotch, and pale green. Now, anyone knows why we have different colors of amber? Old? What did it? So, yes, indeed. So there are a few reasons. Very good. Let's see what are the reasons and which one is considered better. The most recognizable amber is amber colored amber. So this one varies from a pale yellow to a deep red, and we call it either lemon, cognac, ruby, cherry, whatever you prefer. There is no real chart for separating these different shades or, into one specific hue or another. Now it can be the age or species of the tree. Different trees, for example, there was a kind of tree, a species of tree that was giving cherry color. Then it's also the ground where the amber is millions of years, where it's polymerized, which could have been mossy or peaty, and this would affect the amber's final color. And also the length of time that amber was exposed to the oxygen. Usually, longer it is exposed to the oxygen, darker it becomes. It's actually a very slow process that takes thousands of years. So if you buy an amber, don't worry, it's not going to get dark that easily, that fast. One color that is unique to Baltic is green amber, and it occurs in two ways. Firstly, it can be a product of younger trees. Their trunks were producing a pale green resin rather than the golden honey color of more established trees. And secondly, it could have absorbed moss or lichen in its semi-polymerized state millions of years ago, which results in a green hue. In its natural state, green amber is quite pale, it's insipid, so it is common practice to paint the back of the amber with an iron oxide that's called potch. So if you turn it around, you will see it has like a black layer, so let's say the color is visible, better visible. Now, the opaque butterscotch is caused if the resin contains millions of microscopic bubbles that give the amber a whipped cream consistency. We call it a butterscotch. When the resin is still semi-liquid, many of the bubbles will escape, leaving a fairly transparent material, and some amber pieces will show combinations of both opaque and clear areas. And this is commonly found in older pieces of amber and is generally the result of the exposed roots and the lower part of the trunk being damaged. Butterscotch amber has become much sought after, especially in the Orient, where it is carved into Buddhas and other religious figures. And this has pushed the price up to the exaggeration, with Chinese dealers paying over $500 per gram for large pieces. Now, in one of previous cruises on another cruise ship, another cruise line, in Copenhagen, I went into amber shop, beautiful shop, beautiful selection, and there was a Chinese lady there. They have a special place, like a bit further from the shop, and she was in a video call with somebody from China, choosing bigger pieces of amber to buy, and of course then they sell it there. So the Asians are now, the amber is becoming very popular, so what they were doing with jade, they are now doing with amber. So you will also see prices on land for bigger pieces are different. They rise up exponentially. A more recent addition to Amber Jewelry Designs are the multicolored pieces for those who cannot decide which color they prefer best. And this is, of course, the perfect way to show nature's true magic. I absolutely love them. Now, what do you think, which color is more valuable? Any guess? White? Now, actually, shops on land might have difference in prices. Usually cherry amber and butterscotch amber could be priced more because of their rarity. Here on board we do have same price for all pieces. So we could say that the honey color is the most common, but I would say that none of them is more valuable than the other. It's a personal preference. Ladies, the rule is always to try, because also green may be, I don't know, rarer, but it doesn't suit your skin. And we made the same price. It's $20 US dollars per gram for all pieces, bigger, smaller, it doesn't matter the color. So for us, they are all equally valuable. Now, I hope you learned something new. Have you? Yes. I hope you liked it. Everybody awake? Yes. So, thank you very much for coming. If you have any questions, now is the time, or if you're shy, we can discuss about it in the shop. Any questions? Have I missed something out? No? Now, I'm not sure exactly when is my next lecture, so just make sure you check on TV or on your applications or on in the daily news. And it will be about myths, legends, and hidden properties of amber. And now I invite you all to come to the shop, because we have some backstock that we put out today, and we will of course also announce the winner of Spot the Fake, so it's always the fun. And thank you very much for coming. I love that you came in such a big number, and hope to see you again in the next lecture. So please follow me to the shop. Thank you very much.